Have you ever crossed Seoul's Mapo Bridge or zipped on the KTX and wondered how these marvels came to be? These aren't just feats of engineering. They're milestones in Korea's journey from war-torn nation to global powerhouse. All around us, cranes and tunnels signal Korea's relentless drive for progress, a drive that began decades ago when the country rebuilt itself from the ashes of war. These mega projects are more than concrete and steel. They're symbols of our ambition, our resilience, and the so-called miracle on the Han River. Politicians tout new airports and subway lines as essential investments, promising a brighter, more convenient tomorrow. From the first subway line in 1974 to the Incheon International Airport, each project is sold as a leap forward. We're told these projects are for our children's future, filling us with pride and hope. The promise of progress is woven into our national story. But have you noticed construction sites stalled for years? Or projects that double in cost? The Seimanjium seawall, for example, took decades and billions more than planned. Delays and overruns are common, often shrugged off as the price of big dreams. The Lotte World Tower, too, faced years of setbacks before completion. Yet, what if these aren't just accidents or incompetence? What if there's a deeper pattern behind the scenes? What if the real costs are hidden on purpose to get projects approved before the truth comes out? Behind the scenes, a quiet game is played, one that keeps taxpayers in the dark, while the promise of progress keeps us cheering. It's time to pull back the curtain and reveal the budget trick behind Korea's mega projects, and ask why the promise of progress is so irresistible, even when the costs are hidden. When a new expressway costs billions more than planned, it's tempting to chalk it up to bad math or bad luck. But experts like Dr. Min-jae Lee, a leading infrastructure economist, argue that these overruns are rarely accidental. In fact, they're often the result of deliberate design choices made early in the planning process. Take the Incheon Bridge, for example. Initial estimates were kept low to secure public support, but as construction progressed, unforeseen complexities and upgrades were introduced, causing costs to soar. Many believe these overruns are due to unpredictable factors, delays, price spikes, or design tweaks. But the pattern is too consistent. Low initial estimates, then ballooning costs. Politicians and planners often present a low price tag to win approval, knowing the real cost is much higher. As Dr. Lee notes, it's easier to sell a dream than a daunting price tag. By the time overruns surface, the project is unstoppable, and the original champions have often moved on, leaving taxpayers to foot the bill. This cycle lets leaders claim victory at ribbon cuttings, while the financial mess is left for future administrations. Next time you see a project's budget spiral, ask yourself, was this an accident or a calculated move from the start? Most people don't realize how common this playbook is. The real trick is just beginning. By breaking massive costs into smaller, more palatable pieces, planners make even the biggest projects seem manageable. It's a strategy as old as mega projects themselves. How do you sell something unaffordable? You hide the total price. Mega projects use phased budgeting, like a 50 trillion won project that starts with a reasonable 2 trillion for phase 1. Once land is bought and contract signed, the project gains momentum. This isn't just a Korean trick. Boston's Big Dig started at $2.8 billion but ballooned to nearly $15 billion by the end. Canceling means wasting what's already spent, so each new phase is easier to approve. In Spain, a half-built airport cost over €1 billion before being abandoned. No one wanted to admit defeat. The true cost is never debated all at once, just revealed bit by bit over years and administrations. In the UK, the HS2 rail project's price tag tripled over a decade, with each increase framed as a necessary adjustment. By the time the public realizes the real price, it's too late to turn back. The sunk cost fallacy kicks in, and outrage is met with shrugs. We've come this far. This approach turns a massive decision into a series of small, uncontroversial steps. Each vote seems harmless, but together they commit billions. Take the GTX rail network, split into lines A, B, and C, each with its own budget. But together, the cost is staggering. Paris's Grand Paris Express used the same playbook, with each line approved separately. Once the first shovel hits the ground, the project is nearly unstoppable. Politicians love photo ops, but rarely stick around for the final bill. This strategy bypasses scrutiny and ensures mega projects survive, no matter how much the final bill grows. In fact, 9 out of 10 mega projects worldwide go over budget, according to Oxford research. It's a masterclass in political maneuvering, one that keeps the public in the dark. Lobbyists, consultants, and politicians all play their part, ensuring the cycle continues. The result? Projects that are too big to fail, no matter the cost. And the cycle continues, globally, and right here at home. Phased budgeting leads straight into the sunk cost trap, a powerful mix of psychology and finance. Once billions are spent, debate shifts from, "Is this worth it?" to, "We can't waste what's already invested." Politicians point to half-finished structures and insist we must finish what we started. The pressure to keep spending grows, not because it's wise, but to avoid admitting a mistake. Psychologists call this escalation of commitment. This is how questionable projects survive for decades. Financially, sunk costs are gone, but emotionally, they're still driving decisions. Look at the Samenjim seawall. Its costs and goals have shifted, but momentum keeps it alive. The more we invest, the harder it is to stop, no matter the economic or environmental sense. Sunk costs become a political shield, making it nearly impossible to pull the plug. The result? Projects that outlive their purpose, fueled by past spending, not future value. The cycle continues, driven by both our wallets and our minds. Another trick is shifting costs across government terms. But that's just the beginning of how mega project budgets can be manipulated. Korea's 5-year presidential cycle means leaders start big projects, but push the biggest bills onto their successors. For example, the Sejong City relocation project was announced with a modest budget, but ballooned as new administrations added unexpected costs. Initial budgets often cover only planning or land acquisition. The real expenses, like construction, materials and labor, come later, quietly added in follow-up budgets. Each administration claims credit for vision, while the next faces the financial burden. As Dr. Lee, a public policy expert, explains, it's common to see costs split into separate phases, so the public never sees the full commitment up front. This hot potato game hides the true cost, scattered across years and ministries. Sometimes, costs are reclassified as maintenance or consulting, making them harder to track. There's rarely a single document showing the real total, just a trail of piecemeal funding. In one case, a bridge project's true cost was only revealed after a whistleblower compiled years of scattered invoices. The result? The public never sees the full price tag, and accountability disappears. As one Seoul resident put it, we only find out the real cost when it's too late to do anything about it. Where does the extra money come from? Other public services. Every overrun diverts funds from education, healthcare, and social welfare. But the impact isn't just numbers on a spreadsheet, it's felt in daily life. Take Mrs. Park, a retired teacher in Busan. She waits hours for a doctor's appointment at her local clinic, which has lost 2 nurses in the past year due to budget cuts. Her granddaughter's elementary school now combines classes, with one teacher juggling over 40 students. Data from 2023 shows that for every 1 trillion won spent on mega projects, social service budgets shrink by up to 2%. That means fewer after-school programs, longer hospital waits, and reduced support for the elderly. Concrete wins over care. New bridges get headlines, while childcare centers face cuts. These aren't dramatic slashes, but slow erosions. Fewer teachers, longer hospital waits, squeezed transit budgets. The environment suffers too. Rivers rerouted, green spaces paved over, air quality declining as construction dust lingers. Politicians never admit to these trade-offs. The connection is hidden. But for people like Mr. Lee, a bus driver in Seoul, the link is clear. We get new roads, but my route is more crowded than ever. Passengers complain, but there's no money for more buses. Citizens feel the effects: crowded classrooms, unreliable buses, and shrinking green spaces, but rarely link them to mega-project overruns. The result: a nation rich in infrastructure, but poor in the services that make life better. The glamour of mega-projects blinds us to what we quietly lose. The most vulnerable, children, the elderly, low-income families, pay the highest price. And as concrete replaces care, the human and environmental costs quietly mount, shaping a future where progress is measured in steel and stone, not in well-being. When public service budgets shrink for mega-projects, working mothers suffer most. In South Korea, over 55% of working mothers say that lack of affordable childcare is their biggest barrier to staying in the workforce. They rely on public childcare and transit to balance work and family. Listen to Minji, a single mother in Seoul.
When the local daycare center lost funding, I had nowhere to send my son. Private care was too expensive. I had to leave my job.
Diverted funds mean fewer daycare centers, larger classes, and lower quality care. In 2023, the average class size in public daycare centers rose by 20%, while the number of teachers dropped. Mothers face impossible choices: pay for private care, rely on family, or leave the workforce. Policy experts warn that these trends deepen gender inequality. Cuts to transit mean longer, more crowded commutes, stealing precious time from already packed days. For many, this means less time with their children and more stress. Underfunded schools and lost after-school programs force families to pay more or scramble for alternatives. In Sweden, 90% of children have access to subsidized after-school care, compared to just 40% in South Korea. The savings from social cuts aren't savings at all. Their costs shifted onto families, especially mothers. Policy analysis shows that every dollar cut from childcare costs families up to $3 in lost income and extra expenses. The burden grows heavier, making work-life balance nearly impossible. Globally, nations that invest in public care see higher rates of female employment and healthier families. Mega-projects' hidden costs land hardest on those least able to bear them. The stories of working mothers in Korea echo those around the world, reminding us that real progress means investing in families, not just infrastructure. We're not powerless. Citizens can demand transparency and accountability, and there are proven ways to do it. Don't be dazzled by artists' renderings. Ask, what's the real all-in cost? Use official government portals to review detailed budgets and compare them to initial promises. How will it be paid? Request access to public audit reports and demand clear breakdowns of funding sources. Watch for low initial estimates and projects split into endless phases, classic signs of the budget trick. Track project timelines and share updates with your community. Pay attention to news of cost revisions. They're clues the budget is spiraling. Cross-check media reports with official data for accuracy. Attend local meetings, ask tough questions, and join watchdog groups. Many successful campaigns started with just a handful of concerned citizens, like the Seoul Citizen Budget Monitoring Group, which exposed hidden costs in a major transit project. Use social media to raise awareness and pressure leaders for honest answers. Share resources like the Open Government Partnership and Korea's Clean Finance Initiative for guidance. The more we ask, the harder it is to hide the truth. Experts recommend submitting formal information requests. These are your legal right. Transparency is the foundation of democracy. In Busan, citizen pressure led to the release of full project budgets for the city's new port expansion. Demanding clear, honest budgets isn't anti-progress. It's about making sure progress serves everyone. Experts suggest partnering with local universities or NGOs for training on budget analysis. Our priorities should reflect our values, not just political ambition. Use available tools and community resources to make your voice heard. Because real progress starts with informed citizens. Our nation's skyline is impressive, but true strength is built on trust, not just steel. Around the world, Cities are learning that trust is the real foundation of every mega project. Budget tricks erode trust between people and leaders, breeding cynicism and disillusionment. In Spain, public votes on infrastructure priorities have helped restore faith in government spending. We need to redefine success, not just finishing a project, but finishing it on time, on budget, and with honest accounting. Sydney's light rail project, for example, now posts real-time costs and progress online for everyone to see. Celebrate leaders who stop wasteful projects, not those who double down on failure. In Denmark, officials earned public respect by halting a tunnel project when costs spiraled out of control. Imagine every mega project with a clear binding budget and independent audits reported to the public. In Toronto, independent audits are now standard for all major builds, and results are shared online. Open debates about trade-offs. Do we want a new stadium or smaller class sizes? Involving citizens in these choices leads to smarter, more trusted decisions. This future is possible if we demand accountability as much as ambition. Public Q&A sessions and live project updates are becoming the new standard in cities like Seoul and Vancouver. It starts with each of us, asking questions, demanding answers, and watching how our money is spent. Digital tools now make it easier than ever to track every $1 or euro. Let's build mega projects that are monuments to integrity and fairness, not just engineering. When communities are involved, projects become sources of pride, not suspicion. Let's build a future founded on trust. With transparency, accountability, and community at the core, our next generation will inherit not just impressive skylines, but a legacy of honesty and hope.